Commander Zexthul stood on the bridge of the research vessel, Cosmic Scholar, and stared at the data scrolling across his screens. After 30 years of exploring the galaxy, he had seen many strange worlds. But the planet ahead of them was unlike anything in the galactic databases. "Commander," called Dr. Vel Kara from her science station. The ship's chief biologist was examining readings that made no sense. "The scans are showing impossible results. This planet should not have any life." On it, Zexthul walked over to look at her screen. The third planet from the star called Sol was sending back readings that contradicted everything they knew about planetary science. The world was covered in water and had an atmosphere filled with dangerous gases. Worst of all, the air contained free oxygen at levels that would poison most known life forms. "Show me the atmospheric breakdown," Zexthul ordered. Dr. Vel Kara pulled up the chemical analysis. 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen, and traces of other gases. "Commander, no complex life should be able to survive in that much oxygen. It would burn through their cellular structure in days." The ship's safety officer, Nix Veyor, looked up from his station with worry in his large eyes. "Commander, our computers have classified this world as Class X. That means it's a death planet. Nothing should live there." Zexthul frowned. Class X worlds were rare and always lifeless. They were planets so hostile that even the hardiest microorganisms couldn't survive. Yet their sensors clearly showed this. World was not only alive, but teeming with life. "Dr. Quinnell," Zexthul called to the ship's anthropologist. "What do you make of the electromagnetic signals we're detecting?" Dr. Quinnell was a small, pale creature with 6 arms that moved constantly. As she worked, she had been studying the radio waves coming from the planet for weeks. "Commander, the patterns are definitely artificial. There's an intelligent species down there. They're using complex technology to communicate across their world." "Intelligent life on a death world?" Nixvar's voice was high with disbelief. "That's impossible. No species could evolve intelligence on a planet that hostile." The ship's military escort commander, Captain Rexon, stepped forward. His species had evolved on a world with mild weather and gentle gravity. The idea of intelligent life on a death world made him nervous. "Commander, perhaps we should reconsider this mission. If a species evolved on that world, they might be dangerous." Zexthul considered this. The Galactic Survey Corps had rules about making contact with dangerous species, but they also had a duty to study new forms of life, no matter how strange. "Dr. Vel Kara, what else can you tell us about this? Planet's life forms?" The biologist worked at her controls, pulling up more data. "The biodiversity is incredible. We're detecting millions of different species, more than any world we've ever found. But Commander, the life forms we're seeing shouldn't exist." "What do you mean?" "Look at these readings. We're detecting creatures that live in water so hot it would cook most galactic species. Other life forms survive in freezing temperatures that would instantly kill anything from our worlds. Some creatures are living in areas with radiation levels that should sterilize everything." Dr. Quinnell added her findings to the discussion. "The intelligent species seems to have spread across their entire planet. They're living in environments that range from burning deserts to frozen wastelands. No known species has that kind of environmental range." Zexthul studied the data with growing amazement. In all his years of exploration, he had never seen anything like this. Most intelligent species lived in small areas of their home worlds, in regions with mild climates and stable conditions. The idea of a species that could survive anywhere on their planet was revolutionary. "Nixvale, what does our safety computer say about this world?" The safety officer checked his systems. "The computer recommends maximum caution, Commander. It says the planet's environment would be lethal to our crew within minutes of exposure. The gravity is too strong, the atmosphere is toxic, and the weather patterns are extreme. Weather patterns? Dr. Velkara brought up meteorological data. On the main screen. Commander, this planet experiences regular catastrophic events. Massive storms that would destroy cities. Earthquakes that would level mountains. Temperature variations that would freeze or cook anything caught in them. And yet life thrives there, Sexthol murmured. How is that possible? It gets worse, Dr. Velkara continued. I've been studying the planet's geological history. This world has experienced at least 5 major extinction events. Asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, climate changes that wiped out most life. Each time, the surviving species evolved to become even tougher. Captain Rexon looked uncomfortable. Commander, a species that survived multiple extinction events on a death world would have to be incredibly resilient and possibly very aggressive. Zexthul nodded. It was a valid concern. Species that survived by fighting their environment often turn that fighting instinct on other species. Dr. Quinnell, have you detected any signs of warfare among the intelligent species? The anthropologist checked her data. There are signs of past conflicts, but currently they seem to be in a period of relative peace. They're sharing information and resources across their planet. But Commander, I'm seeing something else that's concerning. What? They're not just surviving on their death world. They're exploring it. Our scans show them in the deepest oceans, on the highest mountains, in the most hostile environments their planet has to offer. They seem to seek out danger, rather, than avoid it. The bridge fell silent as everyone considered this information. A species that viewed extreme danger as something to explore, rather than escape, was unlike anything in the galactic databases. Commander, Nixvar said quietly, what kind of species treats a death world as their playground? Zexthul didn't have an answer. In all his studies of galactic civilizations, he had never encountered anything like this. Most species found safe areas on their worlds and stayed there. The idea of deliberately seeking out hostile environments was alien to galactic thinking. Captain Rexon, what's your assessment? The military commander was studying tactical displays. Commander, if this species has adapted to survive on a death world, they would be unlike any military force we've ever encountered. Their physical capabilities alone would make them formidable. Are you recommending we avoid contact? I'm recommending extreme caution. We need to understand what we're dealing with before we make any decisions about contact. Dr. Velkara interrupted their discussion. Commander, I'm detecting something new. The intelligent species is showing signs of advanced technology. They have structures in orbit around their planet. Zexthul looked at the new data. The species had built space stations and were actively exploring their own solar system. This was remarkable for any species, but for one that had evolved on a death world, it was extraordinary. They've achieved spaceflight, Dr. Quinnell observed. A species that tough, with space technology, could potentially spread to other worlds. The implications hit everyone at once. A species adapted to survive on a death world would find most other planets incredibly easy to colonize. They could potentially spread across the galaxy faster than any known species. Commander, Captain Rexon said urgently, we need to make a decision. Do we observe from a distance, attempt contact, or report back to Galactic Command for instructions? Zexthul looked around at his crew. They were the finest scientists and explorers in the galaxy, but they were facing a situation none of them had ever imagined. First contact with a species from a death world could change everything they knew about life in the universe. We'll establish a research station at the edge of their solar system, he decided. We need to study this species and their world before we make any contact. If they're as remarkable as they appear, this could be the most important discovery in galactic history. And if they're as dangerous as they might be? Rexon asked. Zexthil looked back at the data streaming from the death world ahead of them. Then we need to understand that danger before it understands us. The cosmic scholar changed course toward the outer edge of the Sol system, carrying its crew toward what would become the most significant first contact in galactic history. None of them could imagine that the species they were about to study would challenge everything they thought they knew about survival, adaptation, and the very nature of life itself. 2 weeks had passed since the cosmic scholar had established its research station in the outer reaches of the Sol system. Every day brought new discoveries that challenged everything the Galactic Survey team thought they knew about life in the universe. Dr. Velkara stared at her latest biological scans in disbelief. Commander Zexthul, you need to see this. The life forms on this planet are doing things that should be impossible. Zexthul joined her at the biology station. The screens showed detailed scans of various creatures living on the death world. What he saw made his blood run cold. This creature, Dr. Velkara pointed to one scan, lives in water that's actually boiling. The temperature would cook any galactic species in seconds, but this thing treats it like a comfortable home. She switched to another scan, and this one lives in ice so cold it would instantly freeze the blood of most known life forms. Yet it's thriving in those conditions. How is that possible? Zexthul asked. I don't know, Dr. Velkara admitted. Their cellular structure is unlike anything in our databases. They've adapted to extremes that we didn't think life could survive. Dr. Quinnell called out from her station. Commander, I've been studying the intelligent species more closely. What I'm finding is even more disturbing. Zexthul walked over to look at her data. What have you discovered? The beings call themselves humans, Dr. Quinnell explained. And they don't just survive in extreme environments. They actively seek them out. She brought up video feeds that the team had intercepted from human communications. The images showed humans doing things that made the alien crew gasp in horror. Look at this, Dr. Quinnell said, pointing to one video. These humans are climbing up the side of a mountain where the air is so thin they need artificial breathing equipment. They're risking their lives for no apparent reason. Another video showed humans diving deep into their planet's oceans, far below where most life could survive. They're exploring the deepest parts of their water bodies, where the pressure would crush most galactic species instantly. Nix Veor, the safety officer, was studying the data with growing alarm. Commander, look at this human activity. They're deliberately going into areas with active volcanic eruptions. They're studying the very forces that could kill them. The most shocking discovery came when Dr. Velkara analyzed human physiology. Commander, I've managed to get detailed scans of human biology. Their bodies are like living weapons. What do you mean? Their bone structure is incredibly dense. Dense enough to withstand impacts that would shatter most galactic skeletons. Their muscle mass is adapted to function in gravity that would crush other species. And their cardiovascular system. Dr. Velkara paused, as if she couldn't believe her own readings. Their hearts are built to pump blood through their bodies under pressure that would kill most other life forms. They're not just adapted to their death world, Commander. They're built for it. Dr. Quinnell added more disturbing information. I've been studying their history. These humans have spread to every environment on their planet. They live in burning deserts where the heat would cook other species. They live in frozen regions where the cold would instantly freeze most galactic life. But that's not the worst part, she continued. They don't just survive in these places. They build cities there. They raise their young there. They treat these deadly environments as normal places to live. Captain Rex Zahn had been monitoring human military activities. Commander, Their defensive capabilities are beyond anything we've seen. They've built weapons that could destroy entire cities, and they're constantly improving them. Are they at war? Zexthil asked. Not currently, Rexon replied. But their history shows constant conflict. They've fought wars for thousands of years. Yet instead of destroying them, each conflict seems to have made them stronger. The ship's geologist, Dr. Hex Moore, had been studying Earth's environmental history. His findings were equally disturbing. Commander, this planet has tried to kill its life forms repeatedly. Massive asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions that covered the planet in ash, ice ages that froze most of the surface. How did anything survive? That's just it, Dr. Hexmore said. Each time these catastrophes happened, the surviving life forms evolved to become tougher. It's like the planet has been training its inhabitants to be indestructible. Dr. Velkara brought up more biological data. Commander, I've discovered something else about human biology. Their immune systems are incredibly aggressive. They carry thousands of microorganisms that would be lethal to most galactic species. You mean they're diseased? No, that's the strange part. These microorganisms are beneficial to them. They've formed partnerships with deadly bacteria and viruses, turning them into advantages. A human's normal body flora would kill most of us within hours. Nix Veor was growing more worried by the hour. Commander, we need to seriously consider the implications of this. If humans ever left their planet, they could accidentally wipe out entire galactic populations just by breathing on them. The team discovered that humans didn't just adapt to danger, they turned it into entertainment. Dr. Quinnell showed video of humans participating in activities they called extreme sports. Look at this, she said, showing footage of humans throwing themselves off cliffs with only fabric wings to slow their fall. They call this skydiving. They do it for fun. Another video showed humans riding down mountains on narrow planks, moving at speeds that would be fatal if they lost control. This is called skiing. Again, they do this for enjoyment. They deliberately put themselves in mortal danger for recreation, Dr. Quinnell concluded. What kind of species treats near-death experiences as entertainment? Captain Rexon had been analyzing human technology. Commander, their machines are as tough as they are. Their vehicles are built to survive impacts that would destroy most galactic craft. Even their basic transportation is designed for extreme conditions. But here's what really concerns me, Rexon continued. They've developed these capabilities, not because they need them for survival, but because their environment demands it. Everything on their planet has to be incredibly durable just to function normally. Dr. Velkara made perhaps the most disturbing discovery of all. Commander, I've been studying human reproduction and child-rearing. They don't protect their young from danger the way other species do. What do you mean? Human children are expected to face increasingly dangerous challenges as they grow. They call it building character. They deliberately expose their offspring to manageable levels of danger to prepare them for their world. She showed video of young humans climbing trees, swimming in natural water bodies, and engaging in competitive physical contests. Any other species would consider this child endangerment. For humans, it's normal development. The research team worked in stunned silence as they processed what they were learning. Every piece of data painted the same picture. Humans were not just survivors of a death world. They were creatures forged by extreme danger into something unprecedented in galactic civilization. Commander, Nix Vire said finally, I've run safety projections on human contact. The results are ... concerning. How concerning? If humans ever visited other worlds, their very presence could be catastrophic. Their immune systems carry diseases that could wipe out entire populations. Their physical strength could accidentally injure other species. Even their normal activities could be deadly to others. Dr. Quinnell added her own analysis. It's not that they're evil or aggressive, Commander. They're just adapted to a level of danger that makes them lethal to everyone else, even when they're trying to be friendly. Zex Thol looked around at his team. In 2 weeks of observation, they had discovered a species that challenged every assumption about life in the galaxy. Humans were not just survivors. They were apex predators who had conquered their entire planet. What's our recommendation? He asked finally. The team exchanged worried glances. Captain Rex Zahn spoke first. Commander, from a military standpoint, humans represent an unprecedented threat. Not because they're evil, but because they're adapted to survive anything. From a biological standpoint, Dr. Velkara added, contact with humans could trigger a galactic extinction event. They're walking biological weapons who don't even realize how dangerous they are. And from an anthropological standpoint, Dr. Quinnell concluded, they're the most remarkable species we've ever encountered. But remarkable doesn't mean safe. Zex Thol stared at the data stream still coming from Earth. The death world continued. To surprise them with new examples of impossible life, thriving in conditions that should kill everything. Continue monitoring, he ordered. We need to understand them completely before we make any decisions. Because once the galaxy knows about humans, everything will change. None of them could predict just how much everything was about to change. Dr. Amy Clark sat in the radio telescope control room at the Arecibo Observatory, staring at signals that shouldn't exist. For the past month, she had been tracking unusual electromagnetic patterns coming from the outer edge of their solar system. The patterns were too regular to be natural, too complex to be random noise. Hey, Mike, she called to her colleague across the room. Come look at these readings again. Dr. Mike Torres rolled his chair over to Amy's station. He was the observatory's senior signal analyst and had been working with radio telescopes for 15 years. But he had never seen anything like what Amy was showing him. The signal is definitely artificial, Mike said, studying the data. And it's scanning us. Look at these patterns. Whatever's out there is systematically studying our planet. Amy felt a chill run down her spine. You think it's aliens, Mike finished. Yeah, I think we're being watched by an extraterrestrial intelligence. Within hours, the discovery had reached the highest levels of human government. President Chris Martinez sat in the Situation Room, surrounded by military advisors, scientists, and intelligence officials. The mood was tense but excited. Dr. Clark, the president said, explain to me exactly what you've found. Amy stood nervously in front of the most powerful people on Earth. Mr. President, we've detected clear signs of an alien research station positioned near Pluto's orbit. They've been scanning Earth with advanced sensors for at least a month. What kind of scans? Asked General Patricia Hayes, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Everything, Amy replied. Biological scans, atmospheric analysis, electromagnetic monitoring. They're studying us very thoroughly. UN Secretary General Linda Foster leaned forward. Have they made any attempt to communicate? Not directly, Mike Torres answered. But they're definitely aware that we've detected them. The scanning patterns changed after we started monitoring their signals. Dr. Janet Ross, the president's science advisor, had been studying the alien technology data. Mr. President, based on their signal strength and scanning capabilities, this alien technology is far more advanced than ours. Centuries ahead, at minimum. Are they a threat? The president asked. General Hayes reviewed the military analysis. We have no way to know their intentions, sir. But any species with this level of technology could be very dangerous if they chose to be. Or very helpful, Secretary General Foster added. This could be the greatest opportunity in human history. The debate continued for hours. Some officials argued for caution, others for immediate contact. Finally, the president made his decision. "We're going to try to communicate," he announced. "Dr. Clark, I want you to prepare a message. Something that shows our intelligence and peaceful intentions." Meanwhile, aboard the Cosmic Scholar, Commander Zexthul's team was discovering that their observation mission had become much more complicated. "Commander," Dr. Quinnell reported, "the humans have detected our presence. They're sending directed signals toward our position." "What kind of signals?" "Mathematical sequences, scientific data, and what appears to be cultural information. They're trying to communicate." Dr. Velkara looked up from her biological analysis station. "Commander, I've completed my study of human physiology." "The results?" Alarming. Zexthul joined her at the biology station. "What have you found?" "Humans are essentially biological weapons, Commander. Their immune systems are so aggressive that they carry thousands of microorganisms that would be lethal to most galactic species. Even friendly contact could trigger a plague." She brought up detailed scans of human biology. "Look at their cellular structure. Their DNA repair mechanisms are incredibly robust. They can survive radiation levels that would kill most galactic citizens. Their bones are dense enough to withstand impacts that would shatter alien skeletons. And that's not the worst part," Dr. Velkara continued. "They don't even realize how dangerous they are. To them, all of this is normal." Nixveor, the safety officer, had been running threat assessments. "Commander, I've calculated the risks of contact with humans. Even if they're completely peaceful, their biology makes them incredibly dangerous to other species." "How dangerous?" "A single human could accidentally kill hundreds of galactic citizens just by breathing on them. Their normal body temperature would burn most alien skin. Their standard grip strength could crush bones from most species." Captain Rex Zahn added his military analysis. "Commander, humans have conquered their entire planet. They've eliminated or domesticated most of the apex predators on their world. They've reshaped entire landscapes to suit their needs." "That shows remarkable intelligence and cooperation," Zexthul observed. "Yes, but it also shows something else," Rexon replied. "They don't just adapt to their environment. They change it to suit their needs. If they ever spread to other worlds, they would reshape the entire galaxy." Dr. Quinnell had been studying the human communication attempts. "Commander, their messages are fascinating. They're showing us mathematics, science, art, and music. But there's something troubling about their cultural data." "What do you mean?" "They glorify struggle and conflict. Their entertainment is full of stories about overcoming impossible odds. Their heroes are individuals who face extreme danger and survive. They've turned survival into an art form." She showed examples of human literature and movies. "Look at these stories. Humans fighting monsters, surviving disasters, exploring dangerous places. What other species would create entertainment about nearly dying?" Dr. Velkara made an even more disturbing discovery. "Commander, I've been studying human child development. They don't protect their young from danger the way other species do." "What do you mean?" "Human children are expected to face increasingly difficult challenges as they grow. They call it building character. They deliberately expose their offspring to manageable levels of danger to prepare them for adulthood." She showed video of human children engaging in activities that would horrify most galactic parents. They climb trees, swim in natural water, compete in physical contests. Any other species would consider this child abuse. For humans, it's considered good parenting. The research team faced an unprecedented dilemma. Humans were clearly intelligent and appeared to be peaceful. Their communication attempts showed curiosity and friendliness. But their very biology made them potentially catastrophic to galactic civilization. "Commander," Nixvar said quietly, "what do we do? We can't ignore them. They've detected us. But contact could be disastrous for both our species." Dr. Quinnell added her concern. They're trying so hard to communicate with us. They're excited about making contact. They have no idea how dangerous they might be to us. Or how dangerous we might be to them, Dr. Velkara pointed out. Our sterile environment could be deadly to humans who have evolved to depend on their planet's robust ecosystem. Captain Rexon studied the tactical situation. Commander, humans are also preparing for contact in ways that show their dangerous nature. They're training their contact teams in what they call hostile environment survival. They're planning for the possibility that space contact might be dangerous. That shows wisdom, Zexthil observed. Or it shows that they think in terms of survival and conflict, even when trying to make friends, Rexon replied. Their default assumption is that new situations might be dangerous. That's the mindset of a species from a death world. The alien team monitored as human governments debated their response to alien contact. The discussions they intercepted were revealing. Listen to this, Dr. Quinnell said, playing a recording from human communications. They're arguing about whether to send military escorts with their diplomatic teams. Not because they want to threaten us, but because they assume any new situation might require defense. They're also discussing what gifts to bring us, she continued. And Commander, some of their gift ideas would be lethal to most galactic species. What kind of gifts? Plant samples from their world? Foods they enjoy? Art made from materials that would be toxic to other species? They want to share their culture, but their culture could kill us. Dr. Velkara made perhaps the most important discovery of all. Commander, I've been studying human evolution more closely. I think I understand why they're so different from other galactic species. Explain. Most species evolve in stable environments and then develop technology to maintain that stability. Humans evolved in constant danger and developed technology to help them survive even greater dangers. She brought up comparative data. Other species use technology to make their lives safer and easier. Humans use technology to go to even more dangerous places and do even more dangerous things. They're not just survivors, Commander. They're explorers who see danger as something to be conquered rather than avoided. Zexthil looked around at his team. They had been studying humans for weeks, and every discovery made the situation more complex. Humans appeared to be peaceful and intelligent, but they were also unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. What's our recommendation? He asked finally. The team exchanged uncertain glances. They were facing the most important decision in galactic history, and there were no precedents to guide them. Commander, Dr. Velkara said slowly, humans represent both the greatest opportunity and the greatest threat we've ever encountered. They could revolutionize galactic civilization with their knowledge of survival and... The message from the alien research station arrived at Earth's radio telescopes exactly 72 hours after humanity had sent their first communication. Dr. Amy Clark was working the night shift when the signal came through, and what she saw on her screens made her hands shake. Mike, she called across the control room. You need to see this. They answered us. Dr. Mike Torres rushed over to Amy's station. The signal was unlike anything in human experience. Complex mathematical patterns that resolved into what appeared to be a response to their message. It's beautiful, Mike whispered, watching the alien mathematics unfold on their screens. And terrifying. Look at the complexity of their calculations. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. Within hours, the alien response had reached the highest levels of human government. President Chris Martinez convened an emergency meeting of the National Security Council, bringing together the world's top scientists and military leaders. Dr. Sam Johnson, NASA's Director of Extraterrestrial Research, stood before the assembled officials with barely contained excitement. Ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer alone in the universe. The aliens have responded to our communication with a message of their own. What did they say? asked Secretary of Defense Robert Clark. They've confirmed that they're a scientific expedition studying our solar system, Dr. Johnson replied. They express interest in peaceful contact, but they're also showing extreme caution about direct interaction. UN Secretary General Linda Foster leaned forward. What kind of caution? Dr. Janet Ross, the president's science advisor, had been studying the alien message with her team. They're concerned about biological compatibility. Their message includes detailed warnings about the dangers of cross-species contact. Dangers? President Martinez asked. What kind of dangers? Disease transmission, atmospheric incompatibility, physical differences that could lead to accidental injury, Dr. Ross explained. They seem to think we might be dangerous to each other just by being in the same space. General Patricia Hayes, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, reviewed the intelligence analysis. Mr. President, their caution might tell us something about their own capabilities. If they're worried about biological warfare, they might have experience with it. Or, Dr. Johnson countered, they might be much more fragile than we are. Maybe. They're concerned that our normal environment would be lethal to them. The debate that followed revealed something remarkable about human nature that the watching aliens found both fascinating and terrifying. I volunteer for the contact mission, announced Dr. Kate Williams, a linguist who had been working on translating the alien messages. So do I, added Dr. Rick Davis, a xenobiologist from the CDC. Within hours of the announcement that aliens wanted to make contact, over 10,000 humans had volunteered for what was clearly an extremely dangerous mission. The response baffled and terrified the alien observers. Commander Zex Thol watched the human responses with growing alarm. Dr. Quinnell, are you seeing this? They're volunteering for a mission that could kill them. Yes, Commander, and not just a few individuals. Thousands of them. They seem to view the danger as exciting. Dr. Velcara looked up from her biological scans. Commander, I've been monitoring human preparations for contact. They're doing something that makes no sense. What are they doing? They're training for contact by putting themselves in more dangerous situations. They've taken their potential contact team to underwater facilities, Arctic survival courses, and high-altitude training. They're preparing for alien contact by practicing how to survive in hostile environments. Nix Vyar, the safety officer, was studying human risk assessment protocols. Commander, their approach to safety is completely backwards. Instead of trying to eliminate risks, they're preparing to handle greater risks. Captain Rex Zahn had been monitoring human military preparations. Commander, they're also preparing for the possibility that contact might go wrong. But not in the way we would expect. How do you mean? They're not preparing to defend against alien attack. They're preparing rescue missions in case their contact team gets stranded in space or injured during the meeting. Their default assumption is that their people might need to be saved from accidents, not from hostile aliens. Dr. Quinnell had intercepted human communications about the contact preparations. Commander, listen to this conversation between their mission planners. She played a recording of human voices discussing the contact mission. We need to consider that the alien environment might be toxic to humans, one voice said. Right, another replied. So we'll bring our own air supply, radiation shielding, and emergency medical equipment. Standard hostile environment protocols. Should we bring weapons in case they're hostile? No, but we should bring extra first aid supplies in case we accidentally injure them. They might be more fragile than us. The alien research team listened to this exchange in stunned silence. Did they just Nixvale began. Yes, Dr. Quinnell confirmed. They're more worried about accidentally hurting us than about us hurting them. They think we might be fragile. Dr. Velcara made an even more disturbing discovery about human contact preparations. Commander, they're planning to bring gifts for us, but their gift selections could be catastrophic. What kind of gifts? Food samples from their world, plant specimens, art made from Earth materials. They want to share their culture with us, but everything from their planet could be lethal to galactic life forms. She showed the alien team a list of human gift preparations. They're bringing chocolate, a substance that would poison